How's it going, everybody? It is Ethan, or Unknown Coder, and welcome back to an episode of Let's Build Twitter. As I kind of mentioned last episode, I'm still trying to tweak video and audio settings so hopefully everything is looking good. But with that being said, let's go and hop into what we work on today. In this episode, we continue working on the front end with Post. We start out by extracting the Post More icon div into its own component. That way we can better control the drop-down modal that gets created whenever a user clicks on that component. Then we go ahead and create the modal that's to be opened whenever the user clicks on the Post More component. And with that, we also need a way to close that modal whenever the user clicks off of it. So then we go ahead and add a new reducer in the modal slice, along with the logic in the Post More component and layout page to handle closing that modal. Finally, go ahead and make sure that everything is styled and looks exactly like Twitter. As always, if you guys do want access to Github Repository, there's a link in the description down below, so go ahead and hop into our IDE here. Like I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and start out inside of the front end once again. So the first thing that we want to go and do, let's go ahead and scroll down inside of our post here. We want to go ahead and find where our show more is, or post more. So right here. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and copy this. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. And now I'm going to go ahead and create a new component. That way we can put this data inside of it. So let's go ahead and open up our Explorer. Let's go into our post components. Hit A to go ahead and create a component, and we're going to call this postmore.tsx. Let's go into postmore.tsx, and let's go ahead and just import React from React really quick, maybe. And then let's go ahead and export const, and we're going to go ahead and call this postmore, and this will be a react.fc. This will have a set of props that we'll set up in a second, but for now I just want to go ahead and return this. So go ahead and return, paste that in, and then space cf to go ahead and do that. And now I need to go ahead and get this more horizontal icon. I don't think we can get access to this. It doesn't really import that well. So let's go back into our post really quick. Let's go ahead and go to the top, and let's go ahead and yoink the import for the more horizontal from Material UI. So wherever this guy is, so let's see here. More horizontal. Let's go ahead and yoink this guy as well. We could probably just delete it because we're not going to need it in a second. Let's go back into our post more. Let's make sure we import this guy. And now, whoops, there we go. Cool. So now we have this guy extracted. And now really quickly, let's just go back into our post and bring this post more component in. That way it's not complaining. So let's go back into our post real quick. Now where this guy's complaining, let's go ahead and highlight all of this. Let's go ahead and delete it. And then now below this div here, we're going to go ahead and say post more, import that. There we go. So let's hop into footer really quick just to make sure this is working exactly the same way it was before. So you can see we have this guy, we have the highlight. We still have some more work to do with this, but everything's back to exactly the way it was before. So now we can continue working here. So let's go back into our post more component and get some more work done before we continue moving forward here. So now instead of post more, let's go ahead and set up a props because we're going to need a little bit of information just to kind of make this work properly. So we're going to go ahead and say interface, and it's going to be post more props. And inside we're going to have a post ID, which will be a number, and this will be important later on whenever we actually show the pop down thing. We're going to say post author, which will also be important because we need to kind of know who the author is. Go ahead and bring that in from our global interfaces. So that's good to go. So now let's go ahead and bring this in here. So we'll go ahead and say here, and this will take in post more props, and I typoed, so I'll fix that in a second. And this will be post ID and post author. And let's go ahead and fix this props. So post more props. There we go. Simple fix. Save this, and cool. So that's fine. So we're going to need some state, and we're going to need a couple of functions. We're going to do one function now. We're going to kind of build upon this as we go. So say const color and set color is equal to use state. Go ahead and I don't want all this, I don't think. Yeah, okay, that's kind of annoying. That's kind of cool that the snippet works. So do that, use state, and whoops, this is also scuffed. Fix this. So the color is going to start out as pound, and this is going to be 657786. This is going to be like the gray color, the dark gray. We're also going to go ahead and say const, and I'm just going to go ahead and say use state. set up that snippet because it works pretty cool. So this will be active, and this will be set active. And I'm sure there's probably a really easy way to actually use this properly. This will be false. And also I do want to go ahead and add the types onto this. So this state will be a string and this state will be a Boolean. I just like to make sure we add those. Let's go ahead and set up a function to actually open up the modal that pops up whenever we hit the button. So we're going to say const open post more options. And this will be react.mouse events on an HTML. Be a div element, like a type. That'd be cool. Okay, there we go. So now we're gonna say const ID is a number, and then we're gonna say plus current targets. So we're gonna get the ID of the actual post that got clicked.id, and this will make a little bit more sense a little bit later on. While doing this, we want to make sure we only open up the pop-up modal for the specific modal that got hit. So to do this, we're going to say if our ID is equal to our post ID that we passed in, then that's how we know when we actually want to open this. So we want to say set active equal to true. Actually, we want to make sure we do this right though. True. And then otherwise, we'll go ahead and set active to false. We only want to pop up the modal for the specific thing. We don't want to set them for all of them. And I spelled active wrong. So active, save that. And useState never got imported. Go ahead and import, import our useState. Oh, I never set equal. There we go. Cool. So now we need to set up a couple things. So here inside of our post more div, we need to go ahead and set up a couple things. So first we want to go ahead and set an ID. So let's go ahead and say ID is equal to, and we're going to go ahead and say, this is kind of gross, but it is what it is. $ curly brace post ID. We're going to go ahead and set the post ID. The ID of this post to this, basically, the post more icon to the post. Technically, this probably isn't a very good idea, but it is what it is. We're going to set up on mouse over, and whenever we do this, we're going to go ahead and set a color. So to do this, we're going to say equal to, we're going to have our curly braces, we're going to do an arrow function, we're going to say set the color. So whenever our mouse is over, we want to be set to Twitter blue. So we're going to say #1D A1 and then F2, and then on mouse leave, we're going to go ahead and set up an arrow function as well. So now the mouse leaves, we're going to set the color back to the default color. So let's go ahead and just copy the default color. So I'm going to come back up here and let's just copy this. And then let's just go ahead and set the default color in here. So that way, whenever we hover over, we'll go ahead and turn it blue. Whenever we leave, it wants to be not blue basically. And then finally, we'll go ahead and add an on click here. So on click will equal to open and post more options. So go ahead and do that. And finally, we need to go ahead and set up the color. So we need to go ahead and just in here, go ahead and say color. All right. So now theoretically, we're not going to see anything if we click on it, but we should at least be able to see like color changing and stuff. So let's go back into our footer, and it looks like I have a typo. Oh yeah, we need to pass in the data to post more. That makes sense. Let's go ahead and do that really quick before we do this. So we need to go ahead and pass the data to post more. So let's go back to our post and post more. This needs the post ID and the post author. So post ID is equal to post.postID. And we need our post author. So this will be equal to post dot, and this will be author. Okay, now let's go ahead and hop into Footer and just see how the highlighting looks. So now, like I said, it's going to look the same, except now whenever we hover over these, you can see that that changes to Twitter blue, just like Twitter's. So now let's go ahead and just do the CSS really quick. Otherwise, the pop-up's not going to work, and it's very simple. And then we're going to go ahead and actually create the post more pop-up modal, and we can start seeing some stuff in action here. So back into our code, let's go ahead and create a new file. So we're going to go ahead and go into our post more, except I did this wrong. Shoot, we might need to refactor this. We'll see what happens here. A post more / post more.css. I'm going to go ahead and try to move this file into the correct folder. I'll be right back, y'all. Everything's good now. We got it moved. I just went ahead and moved this into the post more folder. Let's go into the CSS finally. And the CSS is going to be pretty simple. We can actually go ahead and copy it from our post. So let's actually go to post really quick. I know I'm kind of all over the place here. We can go ahead and find our post repost or our post more class here, wherever it's at, because it doesn't need to be in here anyway. So take this post more class. Let's go ahead and take it and delete it out of here. Now we can go back to our post more.css and we can paste it in there. And then it's just a couple things that we need to make. So border radius is fine, border none is fine, cursor point is fine, display flex is fine, center is fine. Now the thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and say position is relative. We also need to go ahead and add a hover effect. So dot post dash more hover, and on hover our background dash color. And honestly, this might have been inside of our other one, RGBA 29 and 161 242.2. Let's actually double check our post.css just to make sure it's not in there. And it was. Okay, let's get rid of that as well. Okay, so again, everything should be acting the exact same. Back in here, our hover's not quite working. So let's see, what did I do wrong with hover? Did I not save? I might not have saved. Oh, let's make sure we actually import the CSS, of course. So let's go back into our post more.css. Let's go ahead and actually import the CSS. So import /post more.css. W that. Now it should be the same. There we go. So that's back the way that we need it. Now let's go ahead and start getting some actual modals working. So let's go ahead and make a new folder and file. So go A. This will be post more modal / post more modal.tsx. Cool. So now, once again, we'll go ahead and import React from React. We might need a couple more things. We'll kind of figure that out as we go. And we'll say export, const, and this will be the post more modal react.fc. We'll set up a, if I could type, that'd be cool. We'll set up a props in a second. Just gonna get the basics down. Return, otherwise it'll complain at us. Div class name equal to post more modal. There we go, got that. Now let's go ahead and set up our props here. So interface and post more modal props. This is gonna be pretty simple as well. We're gonna have an author, which is a user. This will get passed, and then the following list, which will be a user list. Again, we're gonna have a couple of issues before we get this all set up. That's fine. Let's go ahead and import that. Cool. Let's go ahead and bring this in here. We'll go ahead and say post more modal props, and we'll go ahead and say the author and the following list. This will be important later, and you'll see why in a little bit. So now we need to go ahead and make a special function to see if the user is following someone or not. So const following, let's call following, right, is equal to this. And we're just gonna go ahead and say return following list dot sum, pass in the user dot user ID is equal to author dot user ID. So we're basically gonna say, hey, is the current user that's like logged in, basically, are they following the author? And let's see here, what is our issue? I spelled following list wrong in this, so let's go ahead and fix that really quick. Following list, cool. And this is going to be used here below. So this modal is pretty simple. There's just quite a bit of code inside of it, unfortunately. Let's just go ahead and try not to code out. So I have a div class name equal to, I'm going to say post more modal option. So this is going to be one of the options in here. Inside of a p class name equal to post more, if I could type, modal option text. And inside the text, the first one's going to say not interested in this post. And to save a little bit of time, let's just go ahead and copy this. So let's copy that. And then next, we're going to see if we're following them or not. So we're going to say not following. And then we're going to say and then we're going to go ahead and paste this. So if we're not following, we're going to go ahead and say subscribe. So let's go ahead and say subscribe to at, and this is why we need the author. We're going to say author.username. Okay. So if we're not following them, whoops, space CF. And there we go. Cool. All right. So next, we'll go ahead and paste again. And then here, this one is going to go ahead and say, check to see if we're following or not. So we're going to have curly braces and we're going to say following question mark. And this is going to say unfollow then. Otherwise, it'll say follow. So basically, do we want to follow them? Do we want to unfollow them? And it's going to say at. And then once again, we'll say author.username. So now again, below this one, paste it in again, go ahead and format that. So this one is going to say add/remove. So add/remove at, and then we need our curly braces, author.username from lists, like so. And then we just have a few more here. I know this part's not very exciting. Let's go ahead and paste another one, format that. Here, this is going to go ahead and say mute the author. So delete this. Let's say mute and curly braces at author. I have to need to do this properly. At author.username. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. Paste it, format it. This one is going to go ahead and say block at author. So we're going to go ahead and say block at curly braces author.username. Go ahead and paste it in again, format it. This one is going to say view post engagements. So view post engagements. We'll paste in another one, format it, and this one is going to say embed post. So let's go ahead and do that. Embed post, and then I believe there's one more. Let's do one more, paste it in, format it, and this one is going to say report post. Go ahead and do this, and we'll say report post. Save that. There we go. So now let's go ahead and just get this inside of our post more. We'll take a look at some of the more advanced stuff we have to do in a second. So let's go back to our post more component. Okay, so now inside of post more, what we're going to go ahead and do is all we'll do is we'll just add it below the more horizon icon, and we set it up so that it's going to be relative. We might still do some CSS to get this fully working, but it's fine. We're going to say active, and we'll go ahead and say post more modal. Right, our author is going to go ahead and equal to post author, and then we also need to go ahead and bring in following. So following list is equal to this. So this is something that's set up inside of our user slice. So we need to bring in a couple things here. So we'll say const following is equal to use selector. So let's go and bring in use selector. We'll say state root state, go ahead and bring in our root state. We're going to go ahead and pass over state.user and .following, assuming that it actually didn't import root state. So let's go ahead and fix that and import that. So now we have our following. We can go ahead and pass that as our following list, like so. Following list. Whoops, I think it's just following actually. Following, and let's see. I need to go ahead and close that. Theoretically, we should be able to open this, but we're going to see a problem here. We're not going to be able to actually close it. So let's go ahead and hopefully, fingers crossed, to go into our footer here, and everything should be working. So everything is loaded. So now if we click on this, you can see we have this, but there's no really good way to actually close out of it. It's also not really styled. We'll fix the styling and make it so it looks better, but you can see there's no way to get rid of it. So now we need to go ahead and set up some global ways to get rid of this. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and update our modal slice. So let's go ahead and head into our modal slice. Inside of our modal slice, let's go ahead and set up a display view more, or display post more. So display post more, good Boolean. Let's go ahead and add this to our initial state. So once again, we'll go ahead and say display post more will be false to start. So if I could type false, okay. And what's this? I spelled wrong. Of course I did. Oh my goodness. There. Now let's go ahead and add the reducer here. So we'll go to the bottom of this guy. I probably could have made this like one big reducer. We're going to say update display post more. Pass in the state. We'll go ahead and say state equal to dot 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 state, and then display post more will equal to not state dot display post more. Go ahead and return that state. Then we'll also come down here and return this. So let's go down over here and let's go ahead and return the update display post more. I did not want to call it though. Now we need to update a couple things. First, we need to go back into our post more component. So let's go and do that. And let's go ahead and set up a dispatcher and a state for display post more, because we're going to go ahead and check both of them before we actually display the thing. So say const display post more is equal to use selector state, root state, and here say state dot modal dot display post more, like so. And then we also want to go ahead and set up a dispatcher. So I'll just set that up here. So const dispatch of type app dispatch is equal to use dispatch. So we can go ahead and dispatch to show it. And now we want to go ahead and modify our post options. So here below our ID, let's go ahead and dispatch. We're going to go ahead and dispatch or update display post more. It doesn't take anything, so that'll go ahead and update that whenever we click on that. And now we also want to go ahead and come down to this active, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is also true. So we're going to say that our display post more and active are true. So right now we won't see it different until we actually go ahead and update the logic inside of the layout page. Let's go into our layout page, and similar to how we have like this display emojis, whenever we click off it, we want to do something very similar. Let's go ahead and go below this display emojis really quick. Let's say const display post more is equal to use selector state and root state. And we're going to do something similar where we return our state dot, and this will be modal, and dot display post more. And then here, if our display post more, so if display post more, then we want to go ahead and dispatch our update display post more. Maybe if I could type, we want to go ahead, and if we hit off of it, it'll go ahead and get rid of that. But I think that's everything. The thing is, we're still going to see one more issue, so we go ahead and hop into Footer really quick. Now if we refresh and everything, it should go ahead and basically be working. So we do this and we hit off of it, that works. But what happens if we do this? Now there's two of them open, so we need to go ahead and deal with that. So let's go ahead and deal with that. Then we'll go ahead and get all of the styling and all of the different GIFs that we need. And the GIFs are going to be like the last like not fun part, and then we'll basically be done. So let's go ahead and just go into our post more again. Inside of our post more, we're going to go ahead and want a use effect. Let's go ahead and set up a use effect. So use effect, do this. And this is going to go ahead and watch whenever the display post more changes. So whenever display posts more changes, we're going to say if not display post more, then we're going to go ahead and say set active to false, because that's the issue. We don't have a good way to set it to false. Let's go ahead and fix that if statement. Let's go and import that guy. And now if we go back into Footer really quick, now if we open this guy, close out, and now open this guy, it's not breaking anymore. So that's good. So now here comes the not fun part. So we have several SVGs that we need to create. So this part I'm not looking forward to, but I'm gonna go ahead and open up Twitter and show you guys where I'm getting these SVGs from. So if we go ahead and go into this guy, you should see, we see follow, not interested. And there should be subscribe. I guess I don't understand how subscribe works. This one says subscribe, but the other one doesn't. So I don't really know how subscribe works. So maybe I'll get rid of it. I don't know. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and inspect element here. And I'm going to go ahead into here. I'm going to go to the SVG. I'm going to go ahead and copy this element. Then let's go back into our code. Let's go and open this. I'm going to go ahead and have the sidebar open just for a little bit here. That way we can go ahead and make these components. SVGs, let's go and say not interested, svg.tsx. Go ahead and we need to import our svg props, the second one, and then let's go ahead and say export default function, and this will go ahead and be called not interested svg, and then do this. Props is svg props. Then we just go ahead and return, paste that guy in. We can go ahead also do that, and that didn't actually copy. Undo. I think I have to actually control V this one. There we go. Paste CF to actually do that. We want to get rid of this class. Let's go ahead and do that. So delete this class. And then we just need to go ahead and set up height, width, and color. So here we'll say the height is equal to props.height. The width is equal to props.width. And then here in the path, we're going to have a fill equal to props.color. Question mark, then it'll be props.color. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and just use black 0, 0, 0. We got to do this about 30 more times. So this is really fun. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the subscribe one. So say, go back over here, go ahead and create the subscribe, maybe svg.tsx. Okay, let's go ahead and import our svg props. And then we'll go ahead and say export default function, subscribe, maybe svg props are svg props, return. We'll hop onto Twitter. Go ahead and I'll grab this one here. And I guess I should unfollow next. I might have skipped over follow on accident, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. Subscribe. Go ahead and copy the element like so and paste it in. Go ahead and format that to make it look a little bit nicer. Get rid of the class. Then we'll go ahead and we'll say height is equal to props.height. Width is equal to props.width. And then we'll have a fill here is equal to props.color, question mark, props.color. Otherwise, we'll do pound 0, 0, 0. Next, after that, we'll go ahead and do unfollow. So I'm going to have to follow someone. So let's go and just do A, and we'll say unfollow svg and .tsx. And we'll say import our svg props. And let's go ahead and say export default function, and this will be this one's called unfollow svg. Props are svg props return. Okay, let me go ahead and scroll real quick to find someone that I follow. Let's go ahead and copy this guy, copy this guy, copy elements. I'm about to figure out what determines being able to subscribe. Obviously, I was wrong about that, but it is what it is. Here to the class. I might need to kind of deal with my LSP here a little bit to kind of get the spacing proper, but it is what it is. Height equal to props.height. Width equal to props.width. And then we'll have a fill on this guy. So fill equal to props.color. Question mark, it'll be props.color. Otherwise, this is just going to be pound000. Cool. Next one will be follow. So we'll say, come over here, a follow svg.tsx, create that guy, import svg props. There we go. Just save us a little bit of time there, so I have to do all the typing. Export default function. This is called follow svg props svg props return. Let's go ahead and find someone I don't follow on Twitter. I don't think I follow Jake Lucky. No, I do not. And let's go ahead and grab follow. Go ahead and copy this element and go ahead and paste it in. TF. Go ahead and delete this guy. Okay. Height equal to props.height. Width equal to props.width. W. Go ahead and format that so it looks prettier. And then here our fill equal to props.color. Question mark props.color. Otherwise be black. All right, next we'll go ahead and say list add svg. So a lists add svg. I import svg props. I know this part's kind of boring, but it's got to be done. Exports default function, and this is called list add svg, and this will take in props of type svg props. Return. Let's go ahead and grab this from Twitter. This one is the add remove from list, which is slightly different from our regular list, which stinks. So copy this element, go ahead and paste it. Go ahead and do that. Format it. Come in here. Our height equal to props.height. Our width will equal to props.width. And then our fill will equal to props.color. Question mark props.color. Otherwise, it'll go ahead and just be black. So 0, 0, 0. Next will be mute. So we only have a few more, luckily. So come back in here, say mute svg tsx. Import our svg props. Export default function. This one is mute svg, and this one will take in props of svg props as always. Return the element. Let's go to Twitter. Let's go ahead and grab the mute icon. So we still have a few left here, sadly. What can we do? Copy element and paste it in there. Here's that class. Add the width and height. So width equal to props.width. I don't know why I did width first this time. Height is equal to props.height. Okay, fair enough. Fill is equal to props.color, question mark, props.color, otherwise it'll be black. Maybe 0, 0, 0. Next we'll do block SVG. So let's go ahead and create the block svg.tsx. Go in there, import our SVG props, and then we'll go ahead and export default function block SVG, and this will take in props SVG props, return, hop onto Twitter, grab our block icon. Luckily we already have views, so we don't actually have that many more left. Copy this guy, paste them in, go ahead and format that maybe. Here we go. Get rid of our class we don't need, and we'll do our height is equal to props.height, our width equal to props.width, and then our fill equal to props.color question mark props.color, otherwise we'll do black. Now we just have embed and report, so a embed svg tsx, import our svg props. Hopefully we don't do many more svgs for a while. This was pretty brutal. Defaults function, and this is embed svg props svg props. We will return, and let's hop onto Twitter. Go ahead and copy the next one, so the embedded one, and let's go ahead and paste that. Go ahead and format that, get rid of the class. Let's go ahead and say that the height is equal to props.height, width is equal to props.width. We'll do the fill equal to props.color question mark props.color, otherwise we will do black. One more, let's go ahead and make the report svg.tsx. This will import svg props array. We're almost done with these things. Export defaults, and this is going to be function report svg props svg props, return, grab this last one, and we'll be ready to put these in, so that's good. Go and copy element and paste that, do that. I didn't realize that whenever we did that, it actually adds a parentheses. That's interesting. Here we'll go ahead and say height equal to props.height. I'm going crazy from all these SVGs. Width is equal to props.width. Okay, and then we'll say the fill equal to props.color props.color. This should be a question mark. That's how crazy I'm going. And colon, and we'll say 000. That's creating all of the SVGs. Now we actually need to go ahead and use said SVGs, which is also no fun. Let's go back into our post more, and now we're going to go through and use all of these. We actually want the post more modals, so let's actually go into post more modal. Okay, so now what we need to do is basically here, this one's not interested, so basically what we'll do, if I actually do this right, we'll say not interested SVG. I don't know, I think it's because it's default, but width will equal to 18 and height will equal to 18. I like the look of it being black, so we're going to keep it black. Here, we'll go ahead and put in, oh, you're going to annoy me. Okay, it is what it is. So next we want subscribe SVG. Width will equal to 18. Height will equal to 18. I'll go through and format this. I think I need to look into my prettier settings in the LSP, try to figure out how to make it be 4 spaces. I think that's the issue. Next, we're gonna have, this one is also a little bit special. So here we're gonna say following question mark, call the function. And if that's the case, we'll have unfollow SVG with the width equal to 18 and height equal to 18. Right. Otherwise, if they're not following, we'll go ahead and say follow SVG with width equal to 18 and height equal to 18. And this one, yeah, okay, that one's fine. I just forgot to take the color off that. This is what it is. Next, we're gonna go ahead and we did subscribe. So next is list. So here we'll say list add SVG. Here width equal to 18 and height equal to 18. Okay, next we'll have maybe mute SVG width equal to 18 and height equal to 18. Next we'll have block. So we'll say block SVG and width equal to 18 and height equal to 18. 18 is just kind of what I found looks good. So this one we already have. So this one will be views SVG, which is nice. We already have it. Width is equal to 18, maybe. And height is equal to 18. Also, I don't know why I do width first. Here it is what it is, I guess. And then here we'll have our embed SVG width equal to 18, height equal to 18, and then finally we'll have our report SVG width equal to 18, height equal to 18. Just like that, we have all of those. Now all we need to go ahead and do is put in the CSS. So the CSS is pretty simple. It is a little bit of work, but let's go ahead and create the CSS. So we'll go into our post more modal, make a new file, post more modal.css. Go ahead into it. Okay, so next we'll have .post more modal. Here we'll have a height of fit-content. Then we will have a width of 330 px. That's just what Twitter uses. A background dash color of white. Otherwise, it's see-through, as you kind of saw earlier. Of a border radius of 12 px. We're gonna have a position of absolute, so it's going to put exactly where we want it. We're gonna have a z index. Maybe a z index. I'm just gonna set to 100. That's arbitrary. Top 0 and right 0. This is gonna put it right on top of that button for us for what we want it. We're gonna have a box shadow. So box dash shadow. This kind of makes it stand out a little bit. So it's gonna be RGBA 0, 0, 0.2. This is gonna be 0 px. Gonna be 5 px. And 15 px is just kind of like an all-around nice looking box shadow. We have overflow hidden. Cool, so that's the main class. Next we're gonna do our .post dash more modal option. So this is gonna actually kind of figure out how big things are. Width will be 100%. We're gonna set the height to 44 px. Display will be flex because we want it side by side. We're gonna align items in the center. Now hopefully I don't typo anything here because that'd be a pain to debug right now. Justify content in the center. We're gonna have a column gap of 12px. We're gonna have a padding of 12px. Cool. And we just have like 2 more things. Next we're gonna have dot post dash more modal dash option. It's gonna have a hover effect. This is just gonna have a background dash color, and this is gonna be RGBA 0.2. So like a gray see-through color. Finally, dot post dash more dash modal dash option dash text. This is also simple. Font weight 800, and it's gonna have font size of 15px. Save that. Let's go back into our modal and actually bring in the CSS for this. Is anticlimactic and doesn't do anything. So go ahead and import our // post more modal.css. Save that, and then let's go ahead and see what the fruits of our labor is. This has been a longer episode, so if you reached this point, I appreciate it. I am trying to get like one whole thing done each episode here, so some episodes might be a little bit longer than others. But let's hop into Footer. So now, hopefully, if we click on this, you can see it looks like we have something not quite right. Oh, it's because justify content needs to be start, not center. Let's go back to our CSS here, and here justify content should be start. Let's fix that. It looks like this is the only issue we have though, so let's go back into Footer. There we go. That looks pretty good. Looks good. So that's going to go ahead and conclude everything we're trying to work on this episode. I don't have next episode planned out yet, but I'll try to figure something out. So as like I said previously, if you guys did reach this point, I appreciate it. I am trying to go ahead and complete one full task at a time here, or maybe like a couple full tasks, whatever fits inside of an episode. Some episodes might be a little bit longer, some might be a little bit shorter, just depending on how much code goes into it. But as always, I appreciate everyone for stopping by and watching. If you did like the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and make the YouTube overlords happy for me. But yeah, I appreciate you all. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode or live stream. Peace out, everyone.